In the gloomy city of Catherine there was a house full of hatred and evil. It all started with the appearance of a woman named Elizabeth. She was innocent and kind, but over time her soul began to attract dark forces. Drowning in despair, Elizabeth turned to an ancient ritual that was supposed to fulfill her darkest desires. She summoned the demon Catherine, a creature of insane thirst for revenge and destruction. From the very beginning, Catherine was cursed. Her hatred of the world was unbridled and her thirst for blood was unquenchable. She preyed on innocent souls, and her footprints were left in a bloody trail on the fear-soaked streets of Catherine. Catherine, the cursed soul, sated her thirst for blood, sending innocent residents of the city into the abyss of horror and suffering. No one could cope with her ruthlessness and ferocity. Catherine's streets were covered with tears and cries of despair, because no one was able to escape from her deadly claws. But in the midst of darkness and fear, in the depths of Elizabeth's heart, the cursed creator of this nightmare, a spark of regret and awareness was born. She realized that she had become an instrument of her own destruction and the cause of indescribable suffering. However, when Elizabeth tried to break the connection with Catherine, she found that she could no longer control the demon she had summoned. Catherine's curse has become an integral part of their existence, permeating their lives with dark threads that cannot be removed. Trapped in this loop of madness, Elizabeth and Catherine became victims of their own dark desires. Their souls turned into a battlefield between light and darkness, where both became prisoners of the horror that they themselves caused. But fate presented them with a new opportunity. In the depths of the city, under the old cemetery, an ancient artifact was hidden, a mirror of restoration. It is said that it has the ability to correct the past and overcome the most terrible curses. Elizabeth decided to gather all her strength and go on a dangerous quest to get the restoration mirror and break the curse that destroys them both. She understood that this was the last chance to save and restore her family and the city gripped by Catherine's horror. Armed with sacred artifacts and knowledge, Elizabeth went to the dungeon of the old cemetery. The walls are saturated with darkness and malice, and the air is filled with a dead atmosphere. But she did not flinch, knowing that every step brings her closer to salvation or complete immersion in darkness. She encountered traps and obstacles that were designed by Catherine herself to stop any rescue attempt. However, Elizabeth used her ingenuity and determination to overcome all obstacles, realizing that not only her fate was at stake, but also the fate of everyone who lived in this cursed city. Every step was under threat, and time was running out. But finally, she reached the depths of the dungeon, where the restoration mirror itself was located. It radiated a mystical radiance, inviting Elizabeth to pass through the last test stone. Faced with the reflection of her past, Elizabeth withstood the cruel truths that she had hidden for many years. She took responsibility for her actions and revealed all her darkest secrets in front of the mirror. Only then did she gain the power to change her fate and free herself from the fetters in order to deal with Catherine's curse. Elizabeth had to fight with herself. Elizabeth, standing in front of the recovery mirror, clenched her fists and looked at her reflection. At that moment, she realized that the only way to be freed from the curse was to accept her dark side and come to terms with it. She felt the bitterness of her actions and realized that it was impossible to escape from the past. Instead, she should use his lessons to become stronger and wiser. Elizabeth's heart was filled with a vague sense of hope that she could find a way to overcome the darkness and turn it into something positive. She stretched out her hand to the mirror, and a magical glow enveloped her. Elizabeth felt the curse begin to dissipate, and her essence transformed. Instead of being the cursed creator of darkness, she became a source of light and hope for everyone who was struck by Catherine. By the will of the mirror, Elizabeth acquired the ability to heal and transform. She became the patroness of the city, helping residents recover from the horror and lead a new life. Her hands healed wounds, and her words brought comfort to those who suffered. But most importantly, Elizabeth found a way to give Catherine a chance at redemption. She dedicated her life to finding Catherine's soul, which was trapped in darkness and madness. With the help of her new gifts, Elizabeth tried to awaken a spark of hope and love in Catherine. Many years passed, and Catherine began to realize the true essence of her being. She was filled with remorse and deep regret for her previous actions. With Elizabeth's help, she began to restore her soul, becoming the girl she was before the curse again. After Elizabeth helped Catherine restore her soul, they became inseparable friends and allies in the fight against darkness. But Elizabeth still had a secret that no one knew about. As the city began to recover and residents regained hope, Elizabeth began to restrain her own emotions and dark thoughts more and more. Her inner world remained closed and inaccessible to others. She tried to be strong and support others, but inside she continued to struggle with herself. For many years, Elizabeth hid her doubts and dark thoughts, immersing herself in the role of patroness and healer. She continued to heal and inspire others, but at the same time doubted her own ability to overcome her inner demons. She spent a lot of time alone, in the chambers of her house, where only she and her thoughts could be alone. There she kept a diary, recording her darkest doubts and struggles with herself. She understood that in order to be a source of light for others, she must first illuminate her own inner world. Elizabeth didn't want to challenge her dark thoughts. She decided to go through her own darkness. She began to immerse herself in the study of philosophy and meditation, to seek wisdom and understanding. She overcame her fears and doubts one by one, and each step brought her closer to enlightenment. No one knew about her personal journey and struggle, but over time, Elizabeth became more and more strong and balanced. Her energy and light penetrated into all her works and inspired others. All this time, she remained humble, not seeking attention or praise for her efforts. Her real reward was in the form of inner peace and a deep understanding of herself. She realized that true strength lies not in power over others, but in the ability to change oneself. So Elizabeth continued her mission, supporting the city and its inhabitants, becoming a symbol of hope and inspiration. There was a secret in the depths of her heart, but it was this secret that gave her the strength to continue in sincerity in her good deeds. So ended the story of Elizabeth and Catherine, two women who went through darkness and darkness, but managed to find light in the darkest places.